Today we're talking all about Hamilton's vacant home tax. What's up, everybody? It's Justin Little here from Team Grande at Remax Escarpment, and I want to thank you so much for joining me again today. It is an absolute pleasure to have you tuning in this week. This week we have another interesting topic. Last week we covered Airbnbs and how there's going to be some bylaw changes coming for that. So if you're interested in that, check out last week's video. But this week we have one that kind of coincides with it, just about how Hamilton's trying to provide more inventory, and that's talking about Hamilton's vacant home tax. Before I go ahead and do that, if you have a vacant home and you're looking to sell it, or you're looking to buy a home in Hamilton, you can use the link in the description below to book a call with me at a time that is convenient for you so we can talk about your options. So I have the article here and I want to pull it up. That came out yesterday, January 26th. Obviously, I'm recording this video a little bit early, but I wanted to talk about this because I think it's a very interesting topic. The goal, the kind of push that I've been seeing from City Council lately is a little impressive in a sense that they are trying to take vacant homes or, homes that aren't occupied by owners and put them on the market so homeowners can purchase them and live in them. They're trying to create more supply, and they've come up with a few creative ways. I know I mentioned last week about the vacant home, not the vacant home tax, sorry, that's what I'm talking about today, the Airbnb tax that came in, or bylaw that's coming into effect if it gets passed, and the changes that's going to have for people that are trying to Airbnb their secondary properties. And now we have this vacant home tax, which I want to go through the article because it's not a very long article, but it's very well written. It covers a lot of the points, and it's probably better than me trying to rifle the points off the top of my head. But if we go to the article here, you can see that the city's marching forward with tax on vacant homes designed to coax more stock in Hamilton's tight market. And that's exactly what they're doing. I completely agree with it. They're trying to hit the plan of putting more homes on the market for homeowners to purchase, not for investors to purchase. Even specifically foreign investors who come, they purchase, they don't rent it out, and they just let these vacant homes sit there. So they're trying to eliminate that. So I do applaud them for this effort. It is part of a suite of policies, a suite of steps the council is taking to ensure that we are addressing the affordable housing crisis that this municipality is facing. So even though the market's gone down, since February, since the peak in Hamilton, we're down almost 36% as of the end of December. It looks like we still do have an affordability crisis, and I do feel it because our average price right now, third week of January, that we're sitting at is about $782 in Hamilton. I remember when I first started in the industry, and I feel like I'm sounding like an old man here now, but when I first started in the industry, if I got a house or a listing that was in the 700s, it was like, holy, this is a luxury listing in Hamilton. Usually it was an Ancaster or something like that, down by the lake. It was just a super exciting listing. But now to think that, townhouses are selling for almost that price in Hamilton, we still do have that affordability crisis there, but it is mostly being controlled by the interest rates, but it does have a lot to do with the lack of supply. So in a 10-5 vote on Wednesday, councilors, Wednesday of this week, councilors directed finance staff to prepare a new program that would see the owners of vacant properties pay the 1% tax in 2024. The tax will target properties of 6 units or less that are vacant for more than 183 days in the previous calendar year. So I do think that that's fair. So they're targeting 6 units or less. So that's going to be most typical homeowners. So if you're not familiar with Hamilton, anything 6 units or more or over 6 units is considered commercial. Not considered residential. So for commercial uses, I guess they're not really targeting that. The bigger investors, what they're looking at is for people that are buying 1 to 4 unit homes, leaving them vacant for whatever reason. I don't see anybody leaving a 4 unit home vacant. But I mean, it could be a possibility because it's still deemed residential in Hamilton. It looks like they're targeting those smaller investors, or I guess they could be larger investors or larger corporations that are buying and holding without any, desire to rent it out. Some scenarios, such as deaths, hospitalizations, major renovations, or court orders, exempt them from paying the tax. Okay, so that makes sense. If you're in the midst of a major renovation, like Matt on my team right now, he's renovating his place on Upper Gage. It's been vacant for a little bit. If it takes him more than 6 months, because he's doing a major renovation, he's converting it into 2 legal units. Because he's doing that, I guess that's why they would give you a break. And that makes sense because you're doing something to improve the property. You're trying to improve the units, maybe create more units. And that's kind of what they're looking for, is to provide that. However, something like that appeals to investors. So it doesn't really affect the everyday buyer, I don't think. I mean, it just puts, like, really, if this was targeted more, now I'm thinking about it more of single family residential homes, it might make a bit more sense because not a lot of, families are buying 2-unit, 3-unit, 4-unit homes or 5-unit homes. Yeah, so maybe, I don't know why they're targeting that, because really, like, a 4-unit home, it's just going to be an investor that purchases it. The most challenging piece is knowing how many homes are vacant in Hamilton, but staff estimates 1,135 properties fall into that category. Gloria Rojas, senior tax policy advisor, told counselors last week. So I wonder how they're estimating this. I want to know. I'm actually kind of curious. Like, they don't have any staff monitoring this now. That is going to be the most challenging piece. Are they going to door knock? Are they going to look at people's taxes? Are you going to have to file something when you file your property taxes? And then what's to stop people? Like, if it's a self-assessment, or you have to fill out a form and submit it or something to the city, what's stopping people from lying on that form? So I'm kind of curious how they're going to reinforce that. It could be similar to kind of how they reinforce the illegal rental unit bylaws now, and that's typically a neighbor just complains and then bylaw will go check it out because they can't actively go door to door looking for these issues. The cost of implementing the program is $2.6 million, and the annual operating expense is pegged at $2.2 million. The city expects to hire 16 full-time staffers to administer the tax. Okay, so 16 new jobs. There you go. I guess that's an exciting thing. And I wonder what those jobs, like, why 16? I'd love to know what the 16 staff are going to do. Are they out there trying to find these vacant properties, or are they out there making sure that the ones they're aware of are paying the taxes? How are they going to monitor this? How are they going to know if a place has been vacant for more than 183 days? Like, are you going to have to admit that? How are they going to have a record of that? Unless you maybe as the homeowner are forced to prove that it hasn't been. But I'm just already starting to see a lot of loopholes with this. The estimated gross revenue in the first year is $4.3 million. Okay, so it's about 4.8 to get it going, plus, 2.6 to get it going, plus 2.2 annual expense. So 4.3 million. So a deficit in the first year. Well, the program is forecast to net 3.3 million from 2023 to 2028. Okay, so that makes sense. They have a 5-year look here. So the first year, they're admitting they're going to take a loss, but hoping to net 3.3 million over the next 5 years. It's very hard to estimate what will happen after that. She added, knowing that the program may no longer be self-funding if enough vacant properties become occupied. Okay, so that's like an optimistic outlook. You're hoping that, within 5 years, you've filled every single vacant home in Hamilton and you've pegged every single person that is trying to dodge this vacant tax. So that's an ambitious outlook. And what are they going to do to keep those 16 staffers on? Like, I guess it's just going to be a contract for that time period and then they could renew at the end of it. But ahead of Wednesday's vote, Nan, who had pushed for the taxes since 2019, noted the goal is not so much revenue generating, but rather incentivizing and encouraging homeowners to fill vacant homes. So that seems to be the general gist here of what they're looking to do. And I just completely agree with what they're doing. I personally hate, and I've been in so many when I'm showing houses in Hamilton, particularly downtown, North End, those sort of areas, where you see vacant homes just sitting there. And I know they're using the word homes, but one thing to consider too is vacant condos, because there's a lot of units in high rises that are just sitting there that could be units for first-time home buyers or downsizers. So I love the spirit of this. I love what it's trying to get across and what it's trying to do. The approval of the staff's framework was the latest in a series of studies and preamble dating back to the previous council. A bylaw governing the program is expected in November. All right, so a little bit of a time period there. So far, Vancouver is the only city in Canada to implement a tax on vacant homes, but Ottawa and Toronto are preparing similar policies. Okay, so it seems to be a way that they're trying to tackle vacant homes. It's curious. So Vancouver's already doing it. I guess they do have a framework of how they should implement it. Hopefully they follow that framework, but we'll just have to wait and see what happens there. Councillor Mike Spatafora said he didn't oppose Nan's take on the tax, but expressed concern over the recruitment and retention of staff to make it happen amid existing municipal hiring challenges. Okay, so that makes sense. Where are you going to find 16 staff to come on and do this? And I guess the roles have to be pretty outlined. And is this another program that needs 16 more staff? Ward 14 counselor said. I do sort of agree why you need 16. I don't like, but then again, I don't know the process. Like they're not explaining. There's not any explanation here about how they're planning to do it. It's just saying this is our hope, and I guess we need 16 people to do it. Counselor Tom Jackson suggested the hope that the cost of the new initiative would eventually be reimbursed represented a gamble. That makes sense, I guess. You're looking at 2.6 million just to get it off the ground, and then 2.2 million a year. So I guess that 1% tax that you're hoping to implement, you're hoping that you're going to net that 3.3. And I'm assuming they're estimating that based on the estimation of the 1,135 vacant homes that they have on file. But yeah, there's definitely some more research that needs to be done there. It's noble, I guess, a worthy attempt, the Ward 6 councillor said, but for me, the risk on the taxpayers is just too great. Carl Andrus, who leads the Hamilton Community Benefits Network, called Wednesday's approval a good first step toward a tool that addresses the problem of vacant homes. And I do think it's a good first step. I actually agree with you, Carl, on that one. But the devil's going to be in the details of how it's implemented. Carl's bang on with that as well, added Andrus, noting an eventual review should flag if owners of empty properties are ducking beneath the city's radar. And I think that that's going to be the biggest issue. I think it's going to be very hard to enforce this. And I'm very curious, actually, how Vancouver is doing this and how they're dealing with it. They went to a local real estate agent here, Martinus Gelinis, however, skeptical that such regulation will do much to solve the housing crisis. I got to agree with Martinus on that a little bit. There are more effective ways to address the issue, including cutting delays in processing development plans at city halls. Okay, so this guy's he's with Ford over there. Let's cut it all and let's build. Which I get. The creation of new units is good, but I think if we can take existing inventory that's already there and then just put it on the market, it's a quicker turnaround. It could help cool things a little bit faster as opposed to launching high rises and things like that take 4 or 5 years to build and are already selling at astronomical highs. New construction, the prices of these are just so high right now, obviously because of the cost of materials and all that, labor. For instance, Martinus, I guess, has waited 2.5 months for the city to set a date for a formal consultation to advise him on his plan to redevelop a vacant single-family home into four 2-bedroom units. Holy, this must be a huge house. A single-family home into 4 units. I want to know where this guy bought, what he's trying to do. It's exactly what the market needs. It's right on transit route. It's a wonderful area. Okay, he's pumping his listing here. After buying the home in November, it could be months down the road and thousands more in cost before he even secures a building permit. Okay, but you know what? Like the city's already talking about these delays, these vacant houses, that they're doing the 183-day limit. So they're trying to tackle that issue. But yeah, I will agree. The city of Hamilton's been a bit slower with permits, but I'll actually be honest. I had to deal with a permit issue in the peak of COVID, and I didn't find it that terrible. As long as your ducks are in a row and you're using a professional that understands the permitting process, I actually don't find it to be that bad. You just have to be patient. You have to know that it's going to take a little bit of time. And in the end, City of Hamilton wonders, well, gee, why don't we have more rental units online? Well, that's probably why. And, I think I do agree with that. So he's looking at the perspective of providing more rental units, which I guess is a good thing. I was kind of looking at his perspective as providing more homes for homeowners, because I think that ultimately is the goal. We need a good balance of rentals, but we do also need to provide housing for people. There's lots of people that want to get into the housing market, and, the interest rates have kept them out. But when the interest rates start to come down, we're still going to have to deal with that overall issue of lack of supply. But anyways, that's everything that we know now about Hamilton Council's vacant home tax. I'm curious about what you think. Do you think that this is actually going to have an impact on the Hamilton market? Do you think it's realistic that they're going to be able to regulate this? I'm just so curious. Maybe there's something I'm missing when I'm reading it that I haven't thought of that you have. Anyways, drop a comment below. I had a lot of fun making this video, a bit longer than normal, but I thought it was a fun topic. I hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to tune in next week because we have another good topic coming. And I hope you have a good week, and I'll talk to you later.